Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the post-race conference, our little press conference and podcast we have after the event of the Platinum Division. My name is JB. I have just come out of a comms box in a very wet condition with Dre to head into the driver's briefing room. Dre, how was that race for you?
That was completely insane. I was watching the silver class this week, and majority of the field yesterday in golden, decent amount finished. But then today, we just saw drivers go left and right off the track, and especially in wet conditions, we lost a lot of drivers today. So it was definitely action packed. We saw a lot of strategy in play, some winners, some losers in that. But overall, I thought it was a pretty great race.
It most definitely was. So we're going to start our little press conference off with Be Good Fever with assistance from iRoll. So the Racing Points teammates helping us out with translation. Uh, First of all, can I just ask iRoll to translate for me? Congratulations on P2 Greek Be Good, and how does it feel?
I feel great, very great, very happy.
iRoll sounds like Be Good. This is amazing. It's like puppetry. So, how did you expect P3 at the start of the race?
Ouais,
Ouais,
j'ai pas le temps.
espérais-tu avoir ton P3 au début de la course?
No, I don't
Now,
think. Je
he
pensais être
wasn't
en bas de
expecting that P3 at
loin du
all.
P10.
He was only thinking about doing like P8 or P7, but the rain helps, the strategy works, and he got a P3. So, yeah, he's quite happy. We're quite happy for Racing Point.
I have a I have a question for Be Good. Be Good, you started 10th. You had the option for the medium tires, and you did the one stop. You went longer than expected, and you immediately switched to the intermediates. What made you decide to go with that strategy?
Est-ce que tu as fait prendre la décision d'aller vers la stratégie de rester plus longtemps sec pour attendre vers les inters?
C'est pas mal à la dernière minute. Je savais qu'il y avait de la pluie qui s'en venait à la fin. Ça commençait à décider de rester plus
Yeah,
longtemps parce que
he tried to wait on the last minute to pit because he saw the rain coming, and Jeff told him that the rain was coming, and he goes for it, and yeah, it works. He goes for
That
it,
was a
and
great call.
yeah, he's quite
Well,
happy with that.
as always, you can always be happy with P3. Congratulations on your third place. Be Good. Thank you to iRoll for translating for us, and
Yeah, no problem.
congratulations
You're
on
welcome.
well, congratulations on even getting close to the end. iRoll. I know it's commiserations to
Yeah,
crashing, but still,
damn,
you you did
fucking
better
your
than me.
rouge. uh, fucking your rouge.
I mean, we'll allow that because it really is difficult. Um, so So thank you to the Racing Points for giving us a hand with that. We would go to Breezy, but he is off being a dad. So we're going to move on to Porridge. And I have one major question for our Canadian Renault driver. Going from a crash in qualifying to then a good finishing position in the race, how are your emotions right now?
They're good, but it could have been better. I mean, we took a gamble from softs to mediums and then to inters, but the rain came on lap 11 instead of 15, so the strategy didn't pay off. But yeah, it's still a good sixth place, like always.
It seems you
Good.
always have the worst
Fatal.
luck with it, though, doesn't it?
What's that?
It seems you always have the worst luck always finishing in P6, as you've said through the three races. Sorry to run straight over Dre, because I'll get told off now.
No, no, that's okay. I think it was a great run for Renault, starting at P12 and then moving up to six. So that was still great. You did get some time penalties. What happened there? Was that before or after the rain?
It was before. Like every time I kind of lost control in Eau Rouge, and yeah, I hope I could get them removed, but I won't get my hopes up. Yeah.
A great finish. Great points on the board there.
Yeah, thanks.
Do we have to talk to Mr. Toro Rosso?
I'd like to talk to Jones though for a moment, if I may.
Of course, yes. Let's go over to one of the McLaren drivers.
So Jones, you didn't get the greatest qualifying in. Started P15, and you did get two time penalties. But through all the wreck fest and things that are going on, you still managed to get a point. So how do you feel about that?
Which is okay. But just a little lap one incident coming out of the final corner set me back, and I'm glad I stuck with it and finished out the race. Disappointing though.
Well, I have a question for Jones as well. Do you think McLaren should have stuck with Honda engines?
I think early contact incident or with the wall. How did that play out with your strategy today?
I had all sorts of contact with the wall. The lap one incident, and then in the wet, a few laps to go, I came out of Eau Rouge a little hot, but it worked out alright. And then JB's asking about the engine. I mean, the Honda power is great. Too bad we didn't go to it. So yeah, no, the car's fine. Look at Breezy driving the Renault Power around the track. He's making it look good. Soon enough, that guy with the racing line on at the top will answer the call. So
I mean, we could
A
sit
great
here in
finish today.
silence and wait for we. Yeah, congratulations on P10. I mean, points to the board finally for Mr. Producer himself. Now, do we want to sit in silence and wait to talk to Joe, or do we have to talk to the race winner? I think we do, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So
I mean, if you don't
three in a
want to,
row.
I could always leave. But that's your call.
No, we'll keep you
I
in
hope you
here.
don't leave your own league.
No, just a press conference. Just a press conference. But go ahead.
So, what color are your underwear?
Today was black.
I mean, yeah, okay. I don't know
It
where
was
I was going with that, in fairness, but you know, try
Yeah,
and go
I
talk about
answer
it.
honestly.
So, I guess we should probably mention that you are now the lap record holder around Spa. C3, so congratulations there.
Thank you. That's pretty cool. I honestly, I thought Talon had it like that last lap. I think it was mainly because I put like the minimum fuel, and I went out almost to the point where it was like I almost missed my qualifying because I went out so late. And I think the track conditions really suited me because I was nowhere near that time in practice, so that came out of the blue. But now I got my name on the graphics. That's pretty cool. But really good from Talon. Like I gotta say, he kept me honest, and in the beginning half. Man, it was really, 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 really close for pole, and he had me working for that one. But I'm happy he was able to get some points today, and continue forward. But yeah, good qualifying.
Congrats on 3 wins back to back to back. You and one of our silver class drivers are the only ones to do that so far this season. But speaking of your teammate, I think you got the bad end of the deal in terms of a lot of pit strategy. You managed to stay ahead of him during the first change from soft to mediums, and then in the wet conditions, he had to double up behind you and got behind there. So. If you was in his shoes in the situation around, do you think you would have made it through the field?
Um, tough to say. Although that's why I knew I had to keep the track position. I think it was around lap 7 or 8. Talon was starting to close in on me and almost about to overtake me. And if he would have gotten past me, he would have had priority for pits. And we knew. I told him. He told me lap 8 is when we want to pit. So whoever was out in front got that priority. So I had to make sure I was out in front. Although throughout that whole race, I had no communication with Talon because I don't know, something happened with their audio or something messed up. So we did that obviously with no communication, which is probably a good thing because we always mess up when it's in the wet races. But so I guess it was better to just stay quiet. But yeah, no, he got screwed on the strategy because he had to get past some middle drivers when it started raining and it was in mixed conditions. I was able to get past, I think it was GTR and Be Good when it was in completely dry. So I had full confidence. Talon, I think, I don't know if DRS was disabled, but by then, it was harder for him to overtake. But that's what screwed him. But the whole first stint was good. And he also told me afterwards he didn't even know it was gonna rain. Uh, so he had no idea. I was trying to tell him, but we had no communication. But one
Words
last
to
thing, I just like
Talon.
to point out, out of the 9 races in TCR, and this is kind of interesting to me. Out of the 9 races in TCR throughout all the classes, 8 of them are won by Honda. So just a little information there.
TCR Grand Prix presented
Honda
by
looks pretty
Honda.
good this season. I don't know about the Mercedes, only has one, and the others have none. But Honda looks pretty good. Revamped.
Some information actually on your teammate. It wasn't only the strategy that screwed him. He had an oversteer moment in the pit lane and lost half his front wing. So through the entire wet
Oh, is
portion of
that
the
how he
race,
lost it? We
he
were
had
talking afterwards.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but we were talking afterwards, and Talon said, I had a chipped wing. I don't know where I got it from. So I guess
Oh,
he did not realize as well.
it
And we
was
were
more
talking
than
afterwards.
chipped. It was more than chipped. He was missing the entire
Oh
end.
yeah, no, I'm like, I'm trying to think. I'm like, where you would have hit it, but I'm like, oh, that's all you, Talon. I don't know what you did, but yeah, we were talking about that. He actually didn't know where he hit it and chipped it. So I guess he wasn't paying attention. Interesting. But it is a
Well,
tight, tough pit lane, I will say.
it is. And that does actually take me on to my question for everyone, because we don't know if Joe's back yet, so we will just keep talking until Joe gets here. Um, my question for everyone, we'll start actually. Oh, Joe is here. I just see his mic flutter.
Hello.
Hello,
You can
you're
ask your
back.
question if you'd like.
Well, I'll ask in a moment then. I just want to ask one question. Your doors are clean.
Of course. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the point of a shower, right?
So he's being a good dad. CC Freeze, he could be a good dad. You never treat me like this.
No
So we'll
comment.
start. We'll start actually with Jones and Dre. You can be part of this as well because you are still a TCR driver. So starting with Jones, what is the most difficult pit lane and why in Formula One? Dre.
Um, no immediate questions that I have.
No, about my question, Dre. See, my co-commentary don't like me. No, I asked Dre to all people in here, barring myself because I'm obviously only press. What's the most difficult pit lane in all of Formula One right
Uh,
now,
oh, sorry.
and why?
Well, I did during the commentary. I did say spa because I've crashed going into that. And it's very sharp corner. You have to be very to do that for the entry and exit. So off the top of my head, I would say spa entry and exit, but I would say at Abu Dhabi, their exit, make sure you're going down that tunnel properly because it's very easily you can miss your cue and hit that wall on the exit going under the track. So I would still say Spa is one of the most difficult pits to get into. I mean, Singapore is difficult, but if you could just make the corners right, it's fine.
Breezy, share some wisdom on Formula One pit lanes.
So, don't get me wrong, Singapore is definitely difficult. For some reason, USA was actually the track I had the most difficulty with because it's practically its own turn. You got to practice it separately if you don't want to lose too much time. So I actually had a hard time dealing with that because it comes uphill and it's like a really low camber. You kind of the car kind of drifts a little bit out, and it's very easy to get wing damage or just crash or spin coming into the entry of USA.
Porridge, let's get a Canadian's view on this. Make sure your mics are muted as well. It doesn't look like we have Porridge. We'll go back to him in a moment. Seafreeze,
I
what
would
what
say
have you got?
I would say all the answers right now were pretty valid. I would say Japan is very difficult with that pain in the butt bump right off the corner, which is so unrealistic. And then you have to turn the car right, but then you got to avoid the pit wall, so it's a little tough entry. Well, and then Brazil pit exit was also pretty tough. But yeah, probably Japan entry there is. Take it slow.
See, you're all wrong in so many senses.
Don't forget about
Purely
Monaco.
because
Yeah, but you're slow
see
at
that
Monaco. You're slow.
Monaco's fine. The difficulty is the new France pit lane, the new entry to France, which everyone
Oh,
doesn't
I didn't even
expect
look at
being
that one. No.
in the same place. Obviously, it's different, and it's difficult to get into. In my opinion, it obviously is just a spear off a track, but it's trying to match the braking point to so you don't lose, so you lose the minimum amount of time going into pit lane. It's so difficult.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah,
I'd
so
also say Austria too. Is a pretty difficult one because you have that. You have to commit to the white line, like the corner before, and if you have people behind you and stuff, it's hard to communicate. Austria.
when we get to Austria, you'll hear me get very confused about who's pitting and who's
Yep.
not.
Got that right.
So let's have a chat with our second place finisher, Joe Breezy, who's just come back from being a dad. I mean, my first question is, how long have you been a dad?
My daughter is 5 years old actually.
He had to hesitate. Are you sure?
No, I was just turning my mic on. Calm down, sir.
You sure? All right, all right. Is this your first tour of the children's force, or are you multiple tours now?
Nope, she is my only one, my single, my greatest, my awesomeness. Yes, she is the best.
Future TCR driver right here.
She learned how to drive already on my racing simulator.
Yo,
So
that is
yes.
awesome. Yo, future. Just saying, future TCR program.
I mean, is this the future? Is this the first female TCR winner in the making?
It's quite possible, but I'm at
Could
least
be.
getting her ready for her permit. We'll see. I don't know.
So we're talking down the line. Got a few ways to go yet.
All right, I guess we should talk about something that happened in that race. How difficult was it to catch up to Sea Freeze in the wet conditions, or was it just one of those situations where you sat there and thought P2 will do in this race?
So, just to point out, I pitted a lap earlier than most people getting onto the intermediate tire. This was a lot due to my soft tire being quite worn by the time I got to that point, and I was not willing to risk doing another lap with the rain coming down. So by the time everyone else had gone through the pit lane, I was already above 20% on my rear tire. Um, that one lap or two laps that it was on the intermediates before everyone else, it really wore the tires out. So to be honest, I was trying to keep pace with him for a little bit. It would have been nice to see if maybe he got a penalty. I might be able to make up that first place that I was going for. But checking every once in a while, I realized he wasn't getting that penalty, and my pace was starting to fall off, and it honestly felt like Drive to Survive on Netflix. I felt like Grosjean. I was like, please don't crash. Like I'm sitting there with nearly 65, 70% wear on my intermediate tires on the last lap, and I'm sliding through every turn. So I don't know if you caught any of that action, but it was I had everything turned down. I'm just trying to make it to the end of the race at that point. So I was happy with second place coming towards the last couple laps. There really wasn't much I could do.
Yeah, you had a strategy similar to Be Good and Mercer Cycle saying, where you just had to maintain until you felt it was the right time to come to pits for the intermediates, right?
Uh, that definitely wasn't our strategy going in, but once me and Jones realized that it was raining, I mean, we had to completely change our strategy. He went with the softer tire because he had the 4 soft tires. I had the medium, so I went out on the mediums first to see if I could make that happen, but I was still not in the top 10. That's kind of the strategy I was planning to go with at first, but realizing that everybody was going on the soft tire, I changed my strategy, went for that, and I was just, hey, got to make this tire last if at all possible to the intermediate tire. So obviously everybody pitted a bit early. Obviously the wrong move, but I was gonna stay out there as long as it took to get on a wet tire and make it a one stop. So that was my strategy. Yes.
Well, it paid off,
Okay.
and you went from P9 to P2. So good job.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So very quickly, as we're running out of time, in the same order as I asked my all people question, hopefully Porridge can catch up with it. So starting with Jones down. Next week we're off to Singapore, not Silverstone, like I said on commentary. One day I'll get it right. How are you feeling about Singapore? It could be a quick, like, 2-second answer. Good, bad, yeah, if you want.
Awful.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of drivers in their front wing and crashing out. Myself included, possibly.
Shiny and dangerous.
My playground.
I'm feeling pretty ship shop for this race. Pretty ship shop shape.
Ship shop is the word that we'll use after such a wet race. Thank you so much for listening to the TCR podcast. We will see you next week with another cream of the crop pick for drivers. Hopefully this time Seafreeze won't be in it as a winner. Hopefully he'll finish in second place next week. Thank you to all the drivers for joining us. Thank you to iRoll again for translating for us. Again, we couldn't have done it without you. And Dre, I guess I should thank you. You're always my partner in crime.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.